No disrespect, Mom. I'm sure you're great. But your boy got a degree, right? So you did finish school.
I want a PhD. I want to be a professor.
No. Oh, no. Those were the wrong words. What's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Sparstar, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope that you're having a great day. I am having, all things considered, a good day. Definitely a little beat up here. I won't name names, but I feel like my neck was under assault. We'll get back to our guest here in a second, but I will tell you this. If you guys like our show, and I hope that you do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you don't know what you want to comment on, we'll give you a topic by the end of the video. So there is that. Additionally, if you like the show, you can also go on over to patreon.com/grappling hour. You can see our videos 30 days before anybody else. And for a few extra dollars, get extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies, match breakdowns with the fighters themselves, where we watch the fights together. And there's a segment called Roast Draft where people roast my competition footage. And for whatever reason, that is the most popular segment. So go figure. But nonetheless, very good stuff for you offered there. You can also buy some merch. This is not merch for me, but there's Grappling Hour shirts and hoodies. You can find that over at rapsparza.com/grappling hour as well. So actually, that one's rapsparza.com/merch. Caught that one. It'll say so on the crawl. It'll be correct there. Sometimes brain dies. You can also follow us on Discord for the conversations that we have here that will continue in there. All right, let's get to our guest. All right, our guest is very good at MMA, but also an incredible jiu-jitsu practitioner. He and I just got the opportunity to roll for the better part of about a good 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And I have to say I learned a lot, but I've learned a lot watching him compete at Sparstar. He is not only a champion there, but the way he's carried himself off screen and the way that he and his team show out for these events have been nothing short of incredible. So this is a long time coming. One might say it's overdue, but I'm so glad that we could finally get Dylan Morales to come on the show. Congratulations again. I'm happy to see you, brother. How are you doing today, man?
Doing good. How are you?
Very, very well. Thank you so much for making the trip out here, man. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to sit closer to this just to make sure I get that. But, you traveled all the way out from where, sir?
Like Victorville.
Like Victorville. So in your head, are you imagining like, yo, I'm going to make this dude pay for making me drive all the way out from Victorville? Like, I'm going to put it on him. Like, is that what you were thinking on your way here today, sir?
No, never. I was looking, I was like, man, this is an hour and a half, 2 hour drive. Fuck. This got to be a mission, but it's definitely worth it. Especially getting the exposure, being on this channel and everything.
That's very nice of you to say, but I have to say, the pleasure is all mine because I know the black belt level that you roll at and that you compete at. And for me, I just try to absorb so much of it. But I do have a long-standing invitation on this show, which is I do try to roll with the people before I interview them, especially if we only know each other virtually or through your work. And it's always a way of saying, like, there's a common ground that we now have. It's like, oh, I see what you do. And this is really cool to be able to explain it better. But I don't want to give too much away because opponents be watching sometimes. But, like, I have to give a major compliment to one specific part of your game, especially for jiu-jitsu, which is your knee pummeling and your ability to just effortlessly flow all around. It was something to behold. It was spectacular, man.
Yeah, no, the way I've been training, I've been doing it 14 years now. I could roll all day, every day. Doesn't matter at that pace. Just nonstop. You
do such a great job with it, but it's specifically like a knee pinch that you do that I found is so difficult to work around because I couldn't get a sweep. I'd be trying to look for an X-guard entry. I'd be trying to just go almost like a waiter sweep, something there. And I found it so good. And it wasn't just I'm stalling knee pinch. It's I'm going to use this, move it out of my way. So you almost didn't even need your hands at times. And I was just like, this is fascinating to watch as it's happening to me.
Yeah, no, I love passing guard. It's like my favorite. So I just over the years have gotten better at it. I've laid off a little bit now because I kind of just lay on my back, let everyone else work. But definitely getting back to it, I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm doing like 360s. I'm spinning over the top. I'm like, I remember doing this. Oh, this is the movement. Okay, I could do this.
Specifically, I did notice when you were starting to like, you were going into almost this, you were just short of saying we, like as you were doing it. I was just like, this is not fun to work with at this point. But at the same point, it was so fun to discern and to get to know your game much better. So I appreciate you taking the time to come out here and do all this. I want to ask you about what does it feel like to be a champion specifically for Sparstar, because you've been such a standout performer there that I've admired your work, but I also watched the way you were carrying yourself off screen, and it's very professional. It's kind of what I hope for in an MMA athlete. So what has it been like to be a standout performer for us at Sparstar?
I mean, I don't feel different. I'm just a normal person. I just show up, do the work, and then that's about it. Um, Calling myself champion, it's just another day in the books. Like, yeah, I fight, I win, and then that next Monday, I'm back to training. So there's like really no days off. I'm just constantly going, trying to better myself, better my team, better my students, everyone else around me.
I did notice though, as you were representing it, we talked a little bit off air, and I told your good training partner and friend, Michael, that I was like, yo, you guys show out. And it is concerning when you guys leave because it's usually 10, 11 p.m. It's a long trip back. And there's, maybe I'm overstating here, but am I saying like 70 to 80 people that you guys show out with at times?
I want to say more.
Okay, but I'm trying to ballpark here. I'm a big fan of Price is Right rules, so I always guess underneath so that I don't. I want to make, so I'm good. I made it. Okay.
You made it.
But like, let's say even if it was 60, the low end of that, that's a lot of people to have come that far to come support you. So what does it feel like to have that support there too?
Oh, that's the best feeling in the world, especially like right in the beginning, you're all nervous, you're all walking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to fight someone. Like, I don't know what's going through my head. And then I like see my students, I see their parents, I see like my training partners. I'm like, okay, it gives me that sense of relief. Like, all right, I'm not so alone in here. And then especially when like the rounds go on, I'm over here dying. I'm gonna sit down. So oh my gosh, I'm dying. And then freaking the bell rings, ding, 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 ding. And then I just hear the crowd behind me. It's just so energizing. It just feels amazing. It just like uplifts you.
That's cool. Can you tell me about your last fight? Because, you know, I realized as we were rolling, I might have been misremembering part of it, but I knew part of your fight having commentated it, and it was an exciting fight from our perspective. But I also knew that I had to be very cautious of your head attacks, that you have a lanky body that can do Darces very well. But it's a relentless thing that you're doing that made it seem where I was like, yeah, I could see how an opponent could really get overwhelmed by this. So can you walk us through your last fight that you had at Sparstar, sir?
My last fight, it was against Quest. Really good striker. Much very respect for him. He always shows out, determined fighter. I got him with a nice overhand. He dropped. I turned the corner. I see him right there. He's on his butt. I'm running. And then I think I got him in like a guillotine almost.
I think
like
you're right.
A no-arm guillotine. So like I just had my forearm under the neck. I cupped his head and I grabbed my own forearm. And I was just squeezing right there.
Okay.
From there.
This is where the PTSD was happening mid-roll. Because I saw this grip. And this grip was making me think Darce. But it's happening to me. So you're on like playing like top and passing. And I'm just seeing this. And I'm like, wait, I know what this is. I just don't know how to stop it yet. So a bunch of our roll was me going like, I need to figure out how to get out of this because like, as you mentioned, Quest is really good. And if he's not getting out of it, I don't know what my odds are, but I can assure myself it's going to be something to contend with. I didn't know you were so well-versed at leg locks as well. And you're fun. Like a lot of MMA fighters don't indulge that, but you seem to enjoy that. Is that kind of what you do as like a recreational time off sort of thing?
No, not like a time off kind of. I just have fun in whatever I do. Like I see the beauty in the sport. I don't just see it as a paycheck. I don't see it as just like going to work or anything like that. Like as I'm rolling, I see like, oh, what could I do here? Oh, okay, wait. If this doesn't work, could I do this? Like, it just gets my head going, I think. I think that's more of like the analytical part of me, or like the mathematician in me, of like wondering, like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And then this, then this, then that. And I think that's why I like jiu-jitsu, because it's just never ending. You counter me, I counter your counter to counter my counter, and it's just always back and forth.
Okay, I should stop here because I just remembered something else that I was going to bring up during our interview. So I said, hey, put on music, right? And you figured it out. A+, did it in no time. Love that. So this is obviously music you like. But as we were rolling, you were also singing along to it, which I don't know if you get that happening to you a lot, but when it's happening to you and you're solving math problems and they're hard problems, and someone's casually rapping along to Drake's Nice for What, you go, this feels like it's mocking me and what's happening right now. But the worst is the back take and you still rapping along. And I was like, yo, this is, if I get tapped by this, I'll be mad. I don't mind if it's anything else or any given time, but it was mostly, I was like, this dude cannot have the wherewithal to literally still be finishing mid rap and be like, like, I laughed so hard afterwards, but in the middle of it, I noticed that was happening. Do you do that to other training partners, or was that just specific to today?
No, I do it everywhere. I'm pretty sure against my fight against Christian, I think he had me against the cage. I'm just hanging there. I'm just like, bah, 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 bah. It's just like a comfort thing, I guess, or whatever. It just like keeps me steady. Like, it doesn't make me freak out or nothing. It just keeps me calm. And then too, like, it just keeps the flow going. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. All right, time to focus on the music while I'm moving a little bit, so I'm not focused so much. I'm like, fuck, let me try and take your arm.
Right.
Let me push your arm. Let me push your. It just keeps me calm in the moment.
So here you have the music being played, though. At fights, someone else is playing music, but it usually is silent at that time, right? Or are you just hearing music in your head and going along with it? Like, what's happening there?
I think it's just going off of like my own tempo, I guess, where I'm like, again, the Christian fight, you see it on camera. Like, I've seen it on YouTube. Like, I'm just there against the cage, just bop, 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 bop. And I don't know, it just keeps me calm. I think I'm going at like my own heart rate just to keep it steady. So I'm just not like, fuck, I'm tired. So I think it just keeps me level headed.
So that's fascinating, because I also saw the you and Christian fight. That was a great fight. I mean, Christian's a very good competitor as well. I like him a lot. He's a friend of the show. But now hearing this insight into that is how you stay so calm, and that's what you do. I would never assume that. Do you have a favorite song to either sing or rap along to while you're rolling? Because to me, what was happening here was this was my error, was letting you have the playlist. Because if I had had songs you weren't going to rap along to, I might have done like 10% better. But now that I see this, I was like, oh no, it was all of his home field at this point. It was all of his jams that he knew word for word. So do you have favorites that you like to go from?
No, not so much favorites. I kind of just go with the flow. Like, whatever's playing, I'll try and hum along with the beat if I don't like the words. If I do know the words, then yeah, I'm singing bar for bar, like flow for flow. Like, I don't care. I'm just rapping the whole song while choking someone out.
When did you start doing that?
Ooh, I don't know. So I started training when I was 11. Probably didn't start listening to music till probably was like 16, 17. So probably around there, where I felt a little bit more comfortable, like really understanding music, like listening to the lyrics, like understanding who I like and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, that was just an observation that I would never have had until we rolled today. And it was so calming for you, but it was so disarming for me. So it was a midway through, I think, the roll, I was like, I don't like this song anymore. I used to like this song because
PTSD every time I hear it.
The one part that was happening was I was like, how is he making me dislike Kendrick Lamar? Like, that doesn't happen to me. Normally I'm playing it and it's fine for me. I was like, he's using Kendrick against me. This feels Like it was targeted. This is hurtful. So I do enjoy your playlist. It is very good. So I do have a lot of love for that. So tell me about this. You have a fight coming up November 15th. 16th. My apologies. Thank you. How did that come together? Because, you know, the weird part about the last one was you guys weren't on the card and it did feel like something was missing. Mm-hmm. Like, I know how much the organization loves having you on there. But for me in particular, I was like, man, I like running into you. And I think I sent Mike a note. I was like, oh, do I see you? And he goes, oh, not this one, man. I go, oh, damn. I would have hoped that you guys had somebody fighting. But, you know, what does it feel like? How did it come together and who's your opponent?
Honestly, I kind of just leave that to my coach. He manages me. He does everything for me. So whatever he says, I trust 100% through. So he's like, you want to fight November 16th? I was like, all right, let's do it. He's all, you want to try and make 135? Because you're going to fight 135 when you go pro. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's see how this is going to go. The guy I'm fighting, I think, is Luke Duran.
Okay.
Durant. Mm-hmm. That's going to be at 135. From what I know, he's just a striker. He likes a heavy boxer, likes to swing a lot. So nothing that I haven't seen before. I kind of make a joke that he's Roberto Duran's great uncle's cousin's nephew. So just to have fun with like his name, whatever. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'm fighting someone that's famous, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. You know, we talked off air about this. I don't want to go too much into detail, but I do love the fact that you were just like, I don't necessarily do a ton of tape study. And I think it's kind of a personal preference thing. I think some people can do it. Mm-hmm. I was always the kid who you gave me homework. I'm like, well, I have to. And I think in this world of YouTube and so much information that I go, well, I do want to know. And I just like references. Mm-hmm. Because I feel if you do too much, then you become obsessed. Yes. But I like a general like, oh, they do this. Okay, well, we plan around this. We do this. And I feel like that is how my brain works. But seeing your style, I think it's a testament to, as you mentioned, 14 years of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu training.
Yeah.
So at that point, you kind of know what you do. Mm-hmm. Like you might be working on specifics, but you are aware of your strengths at this point. So it's not like it's going to get to a day where you go, you know what? I just discovered what a jab is. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to really pay off against him because he's really weak on this one side. It's like, no, I mean, you probably had that to begin with. So there is that. Okay. Well, that's great. I know I asked you about the specificness of being a champion for Sparstar, but do you remember the first time that you won a championship at Sparstar and what was that feeling like?
Oh, it was a little nerve-wracking because I think I fought Christian for the belt. I was nervous, definitely going into it, knowing that he's like a good wrestler. And then I was like, you know what? Like halfway through the fight, maybe even like after the first round, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's just have fun. Like, don't stress about it. Like the first round, I was like, no, you go. No, shit. But like halfway through or like after that first round, I was like, I'm not the same. I just need to have fun. I need to let go. Like I'm never too serious. So like when I am serious, I'm like, I don't like it. Where I perform my best when I'm just having fun, just rolling around, throwing punches, doing weird stuff. And then that's where I found success. I started seeing openings and stuff. I'm landing a lot more cleaner punches. I don't think I took him down, but I got him in a submission. I was throwing freaking bombs from that triangle. I feel sorry for his face. Oh my God. And then when I won, it just felt so unreal for like that good little grace period of like from the cage to backstage.
Yeah.
Because everyone's running up to you. Oh my God, dude. Like from my students to random people to like my other training partners to my coaches. I'm just like, did I just do that?
Yeah.
And then I get backstage, I change, and I'm just like, I'm fucking hungry. Let's go eat. Like, let's go. Like, cut all this weight for like 6 to 8 weeks. I'm just like, I'm over it. Let's just go eat from there. Okay,
let's get into that. What is the food? What is the food of a champ? Like, what are you getting after you win? What is the celebratory food?
Right after the fight, we go to this taco place. I forgot the name. excellent tacos ever since. I think ever since we've been fighting that we've been going to that taco place afterwards. And then right after that, I just go on a frenzy of eating anything I want.
Okay.
Like In-N-Out, Cane's, BJ's.
All right. Now I'm going to hear it. We've been, this has been a recurring theme. I've asked a couple guys once they mention In-N-Out, lifelong Los Angeles guy.
Okay.
What is the In-N-Out order?
Ooh. Okay. Right now, it's probably a 3x2, chopped chilies, grilled onions, maybe, depending on the day. Pickles. I already said chopped chilies. Fries well done. I like crispy fries. I don't like them too soggy.
Yeah.
I like the nice little crunch. And then for the drink, it's a lemon up.
Okay, what is a lemon up in case people don't know?
So it's 7-Up and pink lemonade. So that's the go-to order from In-N-Out.
It's just hearing the youth in your voice still talk like this is me going like, I think 50% of that order is not on mine. Like mine is bare bones. But I love the fact that you are of age to still do this and you work out enough to do this. Half the time, we just interviewed 2 different people. One, 5'7", 150.
Oh my gosh.
Another, 6'4", 250. Okay? Both of them get 2 3x3s. And I just thought, like, I've reached old man status where I go, kids, that's too much. And they're like, why? And I go, I remembered having 1 3x3 as a kid. And that was my go-to. When my sister was spoiling me and I was working out a ton, I would hit 1 double-double and 1 cheeseburger, maybe. Like, that was my, like, splurge. We worked really hard meal. Now, when you're telling me you're doing 3x3s times 2, my heart hurts a little bit and I feel like it slows down. So at the very least, hearing you say a 3x2, why a 3x2 over a 3x3 though?
Because I don't know, like I'm not that much of the cheese kind of guy where like 3 cheeses is a little bit too much for me.
Got it.
So like the 2 cheeses and the 3 patties, it's a good little patty cheese.
Okay.
Or patty cheese. Patty. Yeah, there you go. We got there.
We did get there.
In the end.
You know, the weird part is I can hear the perfectionist in you, but I hear more the mathematician in you that's like, no, we got there.
Yeah.
I want to correct the record to make sure we get every part of the stats correct on this. So that was the meal of champions. And then how long does this food bender last for, approximately?
Oh, I'm bad.
Okay.
Until I know there's a next fight. And then I step on the scale, I'm off. I'm heavy.
Okay, so you do that. What does the first day when you're in camp then look like? Is it painful at that point? Or are you at least training enough where you're just heavier, but it feels like, wow, this is a lot?
Yeah, I naturally walk around a little bit heavier, just like eating all this food I could eat. I feel good about it. I think about the weight cut, getting ready for a fight is either the first 2 weeks and the last week or the first week and the last week suck. Because like the first week you're getting used to the diet. I can't eat anything I want anymore. I'm getting used to it. Sometimes that lingers on to the second week. And like the last week, I'm just over it. I'm just like, let's just get this over with. Like I'm done. I'm irritated. I'm hangry all the time. I'm just like, can we just get the fight over with so I can eat afterwards? Like that's the only motivation through the fights for the most part.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, you know what? Honestly, that would be the way it'd have to be for me. I'm very food motivated. So you may notice that maybe after 30 minutes or so, I'm kind of like with you. I go, all right, I have a good feel of what you do. But then I think to myself, I'm like, well, you're here. But then you also go, oh, right, I want to eat today. Well, I guess we're going to keep going. This is super fun. So you think to yourself, I always tell people, I'm like, I sometimes volunteer our guys like, hey, I'm so sorry. You have to do 5 rounds with me. They're like, coach, I'm tired. I'm like, me too. But coach wants a beer too. So it's unfortunate for you. That is something you have to deal with. Okay. I want to get into a little bit of origin story here, but I want to know this before we actually get into your first elements of when you started training.
Okay.
I knew you as Mr. Pickles on your nickname.
Okay.
That's a tough nickname for me to ascribe to because I'm like, I don't know the context to it, so I don't really want to say it. But I also am in the business of sometimes people introducing themselves and saying like, hi, my name's Skyriser, and you go, what? Sure, dude, whatever you want to say. There's a lot of 10th Planet people I meet. Where for you do you get this nickname? Because obviously Dylan is your name, but I just heard you're ordered with pickles as well. So it does seem like they go together, at least in that regard.
All right. So there's a show called Rugrats, right? So I have an older sister. She's a few years older than me. So apparently when I was in my mom's tummy or belly, she used to run up to mom. She's like, let me talk to baby Dill. Let me talk to baby Dill. Because she used to watch Rugrats. So I guess like ever since then, I've been named after Dill Pickles or Dylan Pickles from Rugrats. So that's kind of like my nickname that stuck with my family from there.
So normally the nicknames come from the fight experience. And I've been told you don't pick your nickname. Someone picks it for you. So it does still follow that trajectory. But it didn't happen because of the fight game. It happened like your family gave that to you.
Yep.
So how do you then tell that to the crew that is your fight family when they're probably thinking of nicknames and you're like, no, I got one already, guys. Like, how did that go?
I mean, I still have a nickname in the works that's not set yet. But they know who I am. I'm always easygoing, fun, always having a laugh, always making jokes. So it was like, really, Dylan, Mr. Pickles. I was like, hey, let's try it one time and see what happens. And it stuck so far, but there's movement to change. There's wills to change.
Well, I can tell you, I know there's movement to change because part of the reason I pulled out my phone was so that I could keep tabs on it. And I noticed it's not on there anymore, which tells me some rebranding may be happening sooner than later. Are we close to knowing? Are we going to know November 16th or is it going to be later?
Oh, I still don't. I don't have another.
Oh, you don't have another nickname yet? Oh, I thought you said it was kind of in the works or alluding to the fact it may come.
Maybe, like, I don't know. We're still throwing ideas out there.
The reason I ask is I don't know what I'm doing for this next Sparstar. So I don't know if I am going to need to say that on the microphone. So part of me is like, oh, okay, if I'm doing commentary, I don't tend to do it a ton unless it kind of fits the person in the moment. That's a tougher one to shoehorn in. So I'm asking for my own selfish reasons here because
no, you can call me whatever you want.
I mean, sure, dude, but you say that, but you're on an adrenaline rush in those moments. It's what happens when you watch things after that you go, I don't know if I like that. So I just try to be sensitive or at least aware of those things. All right. So I did ask in the right order. Tell me about the very first experience that you had in your combat sports world. Were you doing other sports first? Did you find your way to jiu-jitsu or wrestling? I mean, starting at a very young age, it does make sense. But where does kind of all your sports and combat sports journey begin?
Luckily, they all start at one place.
Okay.
Long story short, I told my dad, I was like, hey, I want muscles. We're a big boxing family. Like, I'm like, oh, boxers have muscles, right? All right, cool. And then like for weeks, he's like, are you getting bullied? He's like, this is why you want to do this. I'm like, nah, I just want muscles basically. So like 14 years later, like training, I still don't have muscles. Like they'll show up someday, hopefully, please, someone. Like, I don't understand. Like, I work out like 5-6 times a week. Like, I don't understand what's going on. So hopefully one day they'll show up. And then for like my first experience of like jiu-jitsu of like combat sports, I was 11. There's this kid named Buddha, or that was his nickname. I was 11. He was probably like 8 or 9. Okay. So I'm tall for my age back then. Like, I'm taller now, like that for most people my age. So I'm like, okay, I'm above average, right? This kid was like probably up to my hip, maybe a little bit higher. I'm like, oh, okay. He's been training since he was like a kid, like 3, 4, 5. I'm like, oh, it's my first day, whatever. He's sweeping me, doing like Delahiva, doing lasso guard on me. I'm like, wait, what just happened right now? Like this little guy right here is beating me up. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And then that's where the competitiveness of me came. I'm like, nah, I'm not settling for this. So like I just started training and just like kept on getting better. Cause I remember stories back when like we were kids. I had an old training partner named Dominic. We were like going head to head all the time. And then We're sparring one night. We're both just staying in the pocket, throwing punches. Both of our noses are bleeding. Alex comes in. He's all, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" We're all, I don't know. Because I know I wasn't going to back down and be the little bitch. And then he knew he wasn't going to back down and be the little bitch. And we're just like, I don't know. He's like, "Both you guys clean this shit up." We're all like, "Okay." So it was never like a bad intent. It was just to always push each other to be better from there.
Okay. So the combat sports and this interlined at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a moment that you were going to indulge in another sport? Like, did something else come and tempt you at any given time?
So I did wrestling for like a season or half a season, like my freshman year. Fun fact, that's where I met Mike for the first time.
Oh man. Okay.
He was a senior, I was a freshman. He doesn't remember me back then because, anyway, besides the point, that's the first time I met him. I was like, "Hey, I know that guy." I ended up not liking wrestling. It was a little bit too different from jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
After doing it for so many, like 4 or 5 years of doing jiu-jitsu. So I'm like, this isn't for me. But that was the first time I met Mike. And then when he came into our team, I was like, "Hey, you went to Oak Hills?" Like, "Yeah." "You did wrestling?" I was like, "Yeah, my freshman year was your senior." He was like, "Bro, I'm sorry. Like, I don't remember you." I was like, "It's all good, bro. That was like 30 years ago. Like, we're old. It's fine."
I mean, to be fair, Mike is also a different person from his own story from who he was back then. So I'm pretty sure when you have those big adjustments in life, you probably look at life a little bit differently. Yeah. So when he was telling me about it, like, I love when people do this on my show. They're like, "Man, I was a bad kid." I go, I see people say that, but then sometimes some of the things they did as bad kids are very innocuous. Like, "Oh no, you egged somebody's house. Oh no, you did something kind of silly." And then there's definitely degrees of like, "Oh, you committed crimes. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a bad kid. Good to know." For Mike, I don't know the full extent. You know, he was very funny about what he was saying. It was just me going like, "I'm sure you were still a good kid because at least you had wrestling." Like, anytime you have those things that pull you in, you have coaches that say, "You can't get away with this BS. Like, you have to perform. You have to be this, or you don't get the fun of going out there to compete." So I'm glad that they figured that out for you. I'm very sad about your muscles journey because you do have one of the better body types for jiu-jitsu, though, because the lankiness is the deceptive genius of all jiu-jitsu. Because you see somebody who's big and yoked, you're like, "I don't want to roll with that guy. Oh man." And then sometimes you can beat that guy. Yep. Yours is the like exact definition of like, "I don't know, man. I think he's lanky. He can't be that strong. We'll see." And then you get to like learning your passing and I go, "Oh no, very strong." At one point, I forgot this. You tripoded on your head and literally did a handstand. And then I just stared at you and I go, "Your pressure's too good. I can't move you. So I'm really just seeing how long this is going to happen." Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking, I was like, my man's literally breakdancing here on this. So he definitely has a recollection and a smartness on what to do with his body. So even if he didn't do wrestling, I think you took one of the best skills from it, which is knowing what to do with your body and how to impose it and be heavy in really good places. So kudos to that. All right. That was your first class experience, though, in jiu-jitsu at that one?
Yeah, getting tossed, getting rolled up by a little kid. Yeah. Still remember vividly.
I mean, I'm glad that it really became a formative thing that helped. It started to speak to your competitive nature. I know you mentioned kind of going toe-to-toe with boxing. Was there any kind of pressure from your family or at least internal pressure that you thought maybe I need to go more toward the boxing side? Because in my side, I think most Mexican families, whether they are good at boxing or not, fancy them boxing fans. Mm-hmm. And in my family, they were so obsessed with boxing that I was kind of like, I don't want to do that initially. Mm-hmm. And then later I found myself more drawn to jiu-jitsu. So where did that fall for you in your journey?
No, they didn't really care. It might have been me being so young. I didn't really know much about MMA or any all that stuff back then. So I was like, what is this? Like, it's a little different. I'm like, oh, okay, I get behind this. Like, It's not just punching. There's kicks. You could take people down. You could choke people. I'm like, I kind of like this a little bit more. Okay. And then, like, my dad, who was all like, whatever you want to do, I support it.
And
That's
my
awesome.
mom, she's a little bit different. She's like, I don't want my baby getting hurt. No, don't do that. I'm like, well, I'm doing it now. I don't know what to talk about.
How did that conversation go? Did she give you a firm, like, no, I don't want you doing this, period? Or was she like, I have grave concerns and I want to address them to you?
No, she didn't not want me to do it. She was just more concerned of me being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So basically like motherly things.
Yeah.
And she still wants me to go to school. She doesn't want me fighting as much, but at the end of the day, it's going to be like my life. So I have to choose what I
Okay,
want.
hold on. I want to make sure. No disrespect, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're great. But your boy got a degree, right? So you did finish school.
I want a PhD. I want to be a professor.
No. Oh, no. Those were the wrong words. But you have forever to do that.
That's what I'm saying. Where like I'm still young.
You have a certain age that punch kick can happen.
Exactly.
And then you age out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say you don't want to open a gym. You don't want to do privates forever. You can be a PhD. And then you're becoming a teacher. And I argue you're learning how to teach right now every single day. So it's just a different place that you would be teaching at.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm so sorry, Mom. That was maybe not the best argument I was going to place in your honor. But I would say this. He's very good at this. Like, clearly the championships have come. I've seen it. He's very good at what he does. And yeah, I mean, that does seem like it's hard to explain to the family at times. A formative question we like to ask on this show is, when did you actively fall in love with jiu-jitsu? So not just in the realm where you say like, oh, I like it as a competitive thing, more to the space of, I want to do this as a career. I want to do this as a profession. This is not a hobby anymore. This is a way of life.
Ooh, that's a good question. That was tough because I always grew up jiu-jitsu and school, where it got to a point where like I'm traveling 2-3 hours, coming back up, training at night, trying to juggle both. So I think it was probably my senior year of college. I was like, I can't continue doing both. Like one of them has to go. And like I really sat down, thought about it. I was like, I'm young. Fighting doesn't last forever. I could always go back to school.
Yeah.
So that's where I started leaning towards, and I started putting my mind and my focus to it. So once I graduated, I just went on a tear. I went on like 3-4 fight win streak, and then I saw Hamzat, technically lost, really won. And we don't talk about that. Anyways, and then I fought Quest again, and I don't regret my decision. Where if I do get hurt, I have a backup.
Yeah.
I could always coach. I could always do this. I could do that, or I could go back to school, or I could even start teaching now at like high schools and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me ask this. You kind of previewed a little bit of the similarities, and I do want to get to that. But why the love of math? You mentioned you could have picked any other major, probably floated in. Mm-hmm. Could have been a good film criticism guy, at least music criticism based off of my role. But what drew you to math, and how long did you love that?
Ooh, I've always been all right at math. I've never been the best. I've never been the worst. I remember sophomore year, I think, Algebra 2, I went on vacation. I almost failed the class. I passed with like a D. And I ended up taking statistics like junior and senior year. And like everyone's telling me like, oh, college, you have to like make a decision what you want to major in. I'm like, well, I don't even know like where to begin. I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was like, math, that's a STEM class. There's a lot of options there. So I was like, let's try math. And then like I started getting into calculus, differential equations, complex analysis. I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Wow.
I just liked having a problem in front of me. There's more than one way to get to the answer instead of just like 2 + 2 is 5. But there's so many other ways to get to 5. So I just like the complexity and like going in and out of like different ways, how to prove this theorem, how to do that. And I feel like that really ties into jiu-jitsu because I can't pass this guy's guard. Well, let's try going a different way. Let's try doing this way. So I think that's where they kind of both came together for me, where if this approach didn't work, let's try something else. Let's look at it at a different angle. Let's try doing this. Let's try doing that. Let's try flipping it upside down or doing something like that.
So if you were to pursue this, and it sounds like at some point you will, what would you specialize in? Like, what would your PhD be specializing in mathematics?
Well, in math, you have applied and pure, where applied's more for like everyday use, like engineering, architects, all that. Where pure math's more of like the beauty of math and like number theories and like why there's infinite amount of primes, why this conjecture can't be proven, like Gorder's incompleteness theorem of like how you can't know everything. And like, anyway, we're getting too crazy off subject. I'll go into applied math because it's a little bit more useful. And then two, if I don't like being a professor or teacher, I could still go into like industry or business and stuff with it.
So I want to point something out here. You self-policed yourself there. I didn't say you were getting too nerdy, though it's very evident you were. It's just, do you hear yourself nerding out about it? And do you feel like you bore people with this? Because I think the comparable thing, again, for us on the jiu-jitsu side is when people open the door to talking about jiu-jitsu, I'm like, uh-oh, I can't control myself. Now we're going to be talking about it for 30 minutes because you opened the door. Are you in a similar way with math with people? Because I'm not sure you get that all the time. Maybe not even at the gym.
Kind of, sort of. I know, like, the interview has like an agenda where we want to go, so I don't want to go too crazy into detail of like off on a tangent of all this or whatever. Yeah. And then to like, sometimes I'll be talking about things and like you wouldn't understand it, or like you'll be talking about something I wouldn't understand. I'm just looking at you like, yeah, yes, indeed. So I don't want to get too crazy into it, and then everything gets blown over someone's head, and you're just like, what the fuck was that guy even talking about?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I feel bad about for you is when I was going to grad school, I made it a point, and this is back mid 2000s, where I was shoehorning jiu-jitsu and MMA into it. So it was right around the time the UFC was acquiring Pride. So I was in managing communications, and I walked in and I go, what do you guys know about the UFC? They're like, nothing. And I go, great. So I'm going to go to the library every day and research about MMA, and I'll talk about the business side. And that has been very helpful. I feel bad that there's no way to shoehorn jiu-jitsu into math doctorates. Like, you can't go up to your guys and go like, hey, I want to look at how math works in jiu-jitsu.
I mean, there could be. I don't know.
Well, maybe you need to figure that out, because you best of all the worlds, man. Because essentially when I was figuring out all those things from my side, it was stuff that I didn't, like, I never imagined I would be doing what I do in jiu-jitsu, period, let alone working on a production side. So now that I'm here, I go, oh, I want to try and make it better. So from your perspective, it's like, I don't know, figure it out. You know, do what you need to do to get to those deep thoughts. I just don't know what they are. And I'm fascinated to hear how you made that something that you wanted to pursue. And that's something you likely will after this is all said and done. So let's ask this. What comes next for you? Because you mentioned having all this time to go and get your doctorate. But for you, what do you see next happening in your life if it were to be the ideal version?
Ooh, the ideal version. Go pro. Win a couple fights, go to the UFC, be a champion there for as long as I can, and then after that, I don't know. Definitely go back to school. Definitely continue coaching. Maybe opening up my own gym.
Okay. You listen, dude, that's a lot of stuff that you just mentioned there. I'm not sure you paid attention to half of that, because you mentioned going back to school. Is this after you're a UFC champ?
Yeah, like after I'm done.
But do you understand how people are going to be like, is that Dylan Morales? Is that Mr. Focal there? Like, what's he doing in my class? I would be nervous to have you in my class as a UFC champion. Think about GSP being in your paleontology class and you go, why is he here? That's the GOAT. What is he doing with us, bro?
What are you doing?
Yeah. So I like that in your brain you go, when it's all said and done, then I'll go to school, but I won't bring my belt because I'm modest. But
Unless they ask me.
but I do love that you have a plan. For you, though, I would like to know, if you did open a gym, why do you feel you want to open a gym? Like, what appeals to that for you?
I just like teaching. Like, I like teaching either math or fighting. Like, it really gives me like self-gratitude to like see one of my students do a move that they learn, or they come up to me and they tell me about their day. Like, just the other day I was over there coaching, one of the little students come on, she's like, oh my god, Dylan, you won't understand, like, won't believe this, like, I got an A on my math test. I was like, oh heck yeah, cool, math, I like math, my favorite. And she's like, what, really? I was like, yeah, I got my whole degree in it. She's like, wait, what? Like, you're not just a fighter, you're not just a coach? I'm like, no, like, wait, like, how you see me now is so different of how I am. And then two, I like it's still hard for me to comprehend how they see me as like an idol, or as like a statue, as like someone that they look up to where like me, I'm just like, bro, I'm just trying my best here. Like, like, I made my mistakes, I did this, I did that, but like, to them, they don't know any of it. They only know the good in it.
Yeah.
So that helps strive me to be a better person. Like, I want to be the person that they see when they look at me. So I'm like, dang. Like, it's just, I like it.
So along those lines, I don't want to go too far into your MMA history, because I do understand you summarizing you winning the championship is a good encapsulation, I think, of kind of your journey of how you saw what it meant to you and your team at that time. But you said something that like stuck with me when we were just talking, which was you were the first student of your coach.
Yes.
That comes with incredible responsibility to set the tone and probably create this team. And one thing that I've complimented you on is not just how you carry yourself, but that's part of the reason why you have these kids who look up to you. And then you get your friends like Mike who uphold that team mentality. So when I look at you guys from afar, I don't know about your math experience. I don't know about your game until we get to roll in a very smart way where I see like, oh, he's got this approach. This is fun to watch. But I'm curious what it felt like to be the first, because now we take that for granted, seeing what we see. That had to have come with the struggle. So what did that feel like, being the first student for your coach?
I mean, he could talk more about it because he was a lot older. He sees from like the outside, where I was just a kid looking up to him the way the kids look up to me. So I remember times where it'll just be like him and like me and two other students, and he'll just have like a private one-on-one and everything. And then hearing the struggles of like, he used to drive to Vegas in the morning, come back for training, and then come back, coach all day, and then train again at night. I'm like, how the heck did this guy manage this? Running a gym, being a good role model, and doing everything. So like, whatever he says, whatever he tells me to do, I'll do it. Like, it, without a doubt. Like, I could be asleep, I could be 20 feet away, I could hear him whisper, and I could hear his voice loud and clear. So from being his first student and following in his footsteps, just not only makes me proud, but I know it makes him proud too, to see it. And then now that we have more people coming along, is like, we're setting the standard now for everyone else. Like, we'll go to tournaments, we'll all look good in uniform, all of our students look good in uniform. And then like recently we've been seeing like other teams trying to copy us. So, like, we're doing something right then if other people are copying us from there. So it's extremely gratifying.
Well, respect to you and your team, and you being a huge part of that. I think you're seeing it, the manifestation of it now, that maybe wasn't so clear back then, especially when somebody has that tight of a schedule, that there's not a assurance that's going to be a thing forever. You know, there's always in those moments where it's so close in terms of working that you think, oh, I could have been on this team. I might have left. I might have not even pursued this anymore. But you obviously felt so comfortable with this team that instead of complaining about what you didn't have, you created it. And so that's why I was curious why, from that perspective, to know more of what that would mean to you to create it for yourself again, because now you actually know how that path works. So I would say if you do get the chance to open up a gym, I think your students would be very lucky. So I look forward to that. And I look forward to seeing you on November 16th. I remembered this time. But I have to say, man, from my perspective, it was always really cool to watch you. You always just seemed like a very cool and composed guy. And to me, you can spend your time doing these interviews or rolling and getting to know the people better. But there's kind of a standard I like to try to hit with the people I interview. And, you know, when I brought Mike on, I had already looked at you, but I was like, let's get a win. Let's get something good to talk about, because I just wanted to be able to see if I was right. And I was completely right. You're very unique individual in terms of your experience and what you're producing right now. So I'm stoked we have you back at Sparstar. I'm looking forward to getting to see you come back and do your thing. And, you know, maybe in the future, next time we make it a thing where both you and Mike get to do an interview together.
Yeah, that'd be
because when you guys win together, I always think like, oh, that's kind of dope. Like the whole team's on a high right now. So I think continued success will be coming your way. What I'm going to do right now, that camera right there, that is your camera. What I want you to do, stare at it, go ahead and give shout outs to anybody you need to, remind them to come to see your fight, and tell them at the very end of it what it is that they can expect to see November 16th. Your camera, take it away, sir.
Dang, that was a lot. I already lost half of it. Come watch me fight November 16th. If you're buying tickets online, use code Morales so I get commission for that. What you're going to see at the fight, just me having fun out there. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go in there, do my thing. Shout outs. Let's go to my gym, Cage Combat Academy. My head coach, Alex Reyes. My team, especially Mike Santiago, he's fighting the same night. I think that's about it.
So do you also do privates out at your gym as well?
Yes, I do.
All right,
I do
cool.
one-on-ones. If you want, you could hit up Cage Combat Academy. They'll give you all the information for all that.
I love when I see the clipboard-esque version of it, because it's a very clear, like, here are my times, here's the regimen. I cannot tell you, as somebody who also teaches privates, how many times it's like, hey man, can you do Wednesday at 5:30 p.m.? And I go, brother, no, it's not that easy. Like, I want to tell you when it specific is I'm here or that. And then there are some clients that you go, oh, I do want to teach them. So we'll figure out something.
Yeah, no, I just like how simple it is. Those are the times you sign up for them. We're good.
But, you know, when you're talking about things that people want to steal from your team, I was like, yo, I'm one of these days. I don't know. But we'll see in the future. But Dylan, I cannot thank you enough for coming. It was a pleasure getting to know you. And thank you so much for, I learned so much while we were rolling, man. I really do appreciate your time, sir.
No, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Likewise.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming to check out today's episode. Reminders, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't know what you wanted to comment on, tell us this. This man over here, he is good at math, okay? What is the thing that you're good at that's not jiu-jitsu? You got to have something. It's got to be something. So in the comment section, tell us the thing that you're good at that you think that defines you outside of the world of jiu-jitsu. Because a lot of times this is all we define ourselves by. Somebody's like, what are you good at? And I'm like, half guard? I don't know, bro. Like
laying on my back.
Well, wait, first of all, rude. You know that now. Normally these jokes don't mean anything until the person's like, no, I know how rap rolls now. And I would like to point, don't you laugh over there. There's somebody over here who thinks that they're super good. I would tell you this. He is very good, but he ain't that good yet.
Choke him out. Choke him out right here.
Choking's kind of hard. But like, I think I got his leg. You know what I mean? Like, I think I can go there. And I got to tell you, man, he's of the era right now where I've got like 2 years of like, I think I can get away with some bullshit. Not saying I'm beating him every time, but like dumb stuff that I go, I can't do this to somebody else. And then he's going to learn it. I'm going to be like, yo,
I can't do nothing now.
Like, we'll tell you off air who he's training with. Like, this is a murderer's row. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I like that he's over there laughing, being like, tee hee. I've seen that too. And I'm like, well, it didn't work as well for him than it did for you. Clearly black belt level guy who was a alternate for a team that won anyway. I want to tell you this. So tell us what you're good at. And I hope this, before I forget and do the other plugs, please take more of Mike's money. Because I see you guys put up these like dollar bets. And it's so fascinating to me because I'm such a compulsive gambler that I go, I don't know what you're betting on, but I want to know what it's about. And I'll ask him, I'm like, what is that? And he goes, we're betting off of like
on anything.
On anything.
I have a coin on me right now, bro, for coin flips.
For coin flips, that's what you bet on?
We do coin flips, we roll dice, we do whatever.
But you're a math guy. Is that not cheating?
No. It's rolling dice. No. Yeah, I got a coin right here.
Okay, so I know you're trying to take my money now. Put that away. I would ask this. See, here's the difference.
$1 right here.
I know what you have. You don't have to tell me. This is how you know I have more experience gambling than you. It's mostly just because I'm older.
I would have said tails.
You would not have said tails. Get out of here, brother. I would tell you this. I grew up as a kid that went to the old school Vegas where my parents would just give me like $40, leave me at the arcade, right? I would leave, and because I look as old as I do, just sans this, I would dress how I thought an older person would dress and would just go in and I would gamble. Nobody came up to me, ever. And I would win money. And I taught myself sports book and I would do that. So now that I've gotten older, I have amazing control over it, but I always want to know the odds. So when our boys yesterday were watching the fights, the gym owner here, again, this is the gym I gravitate to because compulsive gambler. He just looks at somebody, he goes, I got money on, he looked at him, he's like, who do you guys like? I think Max is going to win. He goes, all right, I got money on Ilya, winner gets KBBQ. And I'm like, brother, you can't do that to him. Like, that's picking on him because we all know Max is up against a really tough thing and he's just betting with his heart. And he's like, so he doesn't want to take the bet? And I was like, you talk to him, man. I'm not taking your dumb bet. I was like, first of all, I'm rooting for Max, but I'm betting on Tapuria. And I'm like, once he wins, I'm just staring at this dude being like, I want to talk to anybody. He goes, let's go to Korean barbecue. You owe it for me. I'm going to cash it in. And the dude's like, I didn't even bet it. You just wanted to get free Korean barbecue. And I go, well, you did accept it. So
I didn't say no.
So I'm glad that you do that. But that's why you can flip something around me. And I'm like, nice try, kid. It's gonna take a lot more. And I don't know your relative trash talk yet. But I can't beat you at jiu-jitsu, but I will always win the trash talk, so I'm not worried about that part. But I've seen your team, and it's not bad, because the way Mike plays, I'm like, Mike was in my comment section once for about a good 10 minutes. And I was like, I think I was at an event, I just saw him coming after me, and I was like, bro, I'm already like partying right now. You have fun, bro. And afterwards, he's like, you saw that I got you? And I was like, you didn't do shit. But I loved your efforts, and that tells me why I like you. So please take more of his money. I don't care if it's dice game. I don't care if it's coin flips.
Bro, whatever it is, his money's mine.
Have you beaten him more for money than he's taken from you?
Maybe.
I don't like that look. All right. The math guy can't figure. What do you mean you can't remember? You would know.
Everything.
You bet on everything. What have you taken the most money from him doing?
Probably dice.
Yeah, okay. So the coin flips were the way to go to you. All right, good to know. Anyway, I'm going to still close this thing up before we end up losing all of our money here on the show. Reminders, find us Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good jazz. Give us a rate and reviews because that does help us. So we do appreciate you guys. And last couple of reminders, go to patreon.com/grappling hour. I'm sorry. Yes, that one is correct. It's merch, rafasparza.com/merch. Ladies and gents, it has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.